Here's our data engineer. They are struggling. Uh, they are struggling with maintenance, pipelines, data storage, requests, and all of that. And this is a scenario that is very current in many data engineers and data people's lives. And they don't see progress. It's very hard to be motivated when you don't see progress. It's easy to quit. It's easy to have a burnout. But then this data engineer had an idea, metrics. What if their team tracked their metrics and would easily see progress? That's the subject of our video. Data engineering should have metrics too, data departments, data teams. And I want to show you how we did it. So before we start, why you should watch this video. I'm a data engineer. You can check it out. I've been a data engineer for 4 years now, and I've created pipelines architectures in startups, consulting companies, product companies, and I've been applying these concepts for the past 9 months in a data team. And I'll give you a 30-minute free call if you want to apply this concept in the company you work in. So, what topics will we go through to talk about metrics for data engineering? Why have metrics for data engineering? How should you use these metrics and which metrics? So first of all, why have metrics for data engineering? First of all, progress tracking. As I said, it's easy to not see progress when you just create pipelines and maintain them. And really, data engineering has a little bit of a problem sometimes that is not as tied up to the like revenue of the company. Like it's not directly tied to results specifically, such as I don't know, ML model would be uh like in cost savings or something. So it's easier for people not to see progress in data engineering. Also, lead by example. If you're a data team, you want people to use data and have metrics. So leading by example, it's a good thing overall. Have stats digestible for superiors and peers. When you are in a company, it's important to share your results and your progress with other people. So you get promotions. You also like have more investment in your department because if people can see that you are doing a lot with little investment, they may want to invest more and see what you can do. And also like for when you are requesting more resources, when you have these kinds of stats, it's easier to request them and have justifications in numbers. Improve decision making. So when you are creating, I don't know, if you have quarterly planning and you are creating the plans for the next quarter, these metrics will help you see what should we be working on, really, because sometimes we think we should be working on something, but actually, the metrics show you that you have something that is more important, that would have more impact, that would regenerate more value, and it's easier to make, maybe. So it will improve decision making. And it's applicable even if you are a team of one. Yeah, that's basically it. So how should you use these metrics? It depends, really. You need to have a cadence. It's important to have a cadence because um, so you reevaluate it, to analyze it, to have, but also not be obsessed about it because else you will only be tracking metrics and not doing anything about it. So you can do it monthly, quarterly. It depends on like your team, your company, and yeah. So you pick a cadence, and then you collect data. Not all of the metrics have data that you are already collecting. For example, you may need to have a form that people uh, fill in a certain cadence. You may need to set up some automations. So some stats on your data platform, such as data freshness, data duplication, um, are collected in a daily weekly or monthly basis. So you need to set up automations, talk to people, you see if they're willing to, and show them why that would help them as well to collect that data, and then review the data in specific cadences after you, for example, have those forms filled in or have the automations collect data and then analyze it, I don't know, quarterly, and adjust your plan using the data. As I said, it can improve a lot the decision making on priorities that you and your team should be working on. So for example, if you want to improve self-serving in some objects, you can collect data around that and see if people are actually using it. And if that's the main priority and the metrics show that you people are not finding it easy, you can just put time on that. And you can share results also. As you already have the data in hand, you have the analysis. It's also it's always interesting to share the results with the interested parties, especially those people that filled the forms for you because they put in time. So it's interesting for them to see the results of that work that they did, even if it's 5 minutes for them to fill the forms. They want to see progress as well. Everyone wants to see progress and collaboration. So we talked about why to have metrics and how should we use it. And now we're going to talk about which metrics, which also depends. It's important to map what's your team's responsibility, what are the things that you maintain, who are the people you serve, and find or create a metric and iterate that metric and data collection until it makes sense, because for sure you won't get right the first time, but that's not an issue. You just don't stop trying to make it work. So I'm gonna go through a scenario here, which is very close to one that I've worked with. We have a team of data engineers, and they have a data platform in AWS. So they have their infrastructure in AWS, and they have a data platform, and they serve data analysts and also the product team. So for each one of those areas that we mapped, like what do they maintain, what are their responsibilities, and who they serve. And now we're going to go through each metric for each area. So first of all, the data platform itself. So we have a dashboard for daily monitoring, but also we have the aggregation of everyday number for mean, max, and median. That's all for data freshness. So the data freshness is basically how much the data is fitting. So in this case, like how much the data is alike to the source. So in this case, we have data, a lot of data from Postgres. So we do a count for that table in Postgres in the source, and then we do a count for that table in our trusted layer, because that's the one that most people use. And we compare it and see the difference, because that's how we see how fresh the data was, how different, like how many rows we had different. And so it's very, very, very simple. You have way more sophisticated things to do around that, but I started with that one. It's been useful so far. And I would recommend going with something simple at first. So in this case, we collect daily the date time when the data was updated, the count in the platform versus the source, as I said, the day of the week, because sometimes we wanted to see if we had some skew in the week, like for example, in the weekends when nobody's working or something like that. And the aggregate number to get the mean, the max, and the median on that count difference. So we want to see the standard deviation of the count for the difference in the platform in the source. We have also the infrastructure all in AWS, so we want to have the monthly cost for data pipeline. And to do that, we tag all resources for the data platform in AWS. We have all tags because it's easier to use Cost Explorer when tagging it. Having the costs split by pipelines, or have the cost split by minutes run, because some pipelines run for 40 minutes, some pipelines run for 2 minutes. So maybe the cost split by minutes, it's better, but we have those two stats so we can compare. But basically, we have estimate for monthly cost for a data pipeline. And if we can also like keep track of it. So if we have like a lot of costs, some 1 month, we can dig deep and see what's happened, what's the issue there. Also for the data freshness, it's easy to see if we have a lot of tables that have different counts from the source and the platform itself and do something about it. So data analysts, this is the trickiest part because both cases that I've mentioned, we have automations around that. And now we are talking about people. So we need collaboration from those people. The data analysts are very collaborative because they are impacted by our work very much, the data engineers. So they respond a lot to this form that we have in a quarterly base. And we want to see like how hard is it to use data in your analysis, 1 to 5, 5 being the best. Sorry, yeah. How difficult it is to use. So 5 being very difficult, 1 being very easy. Actually, I think I've put there the opposite. So we have 5 always as the most positive and 1 as the most negative. How much impact new columns and data sources made available by the data engineering team had in your work? How quick was the data engineering teams to your request? And how reliable do you feel the data made available by the data engineering team is? So we have 4 aspects here that we want to see, like how easy is to use the platform made available, how much impact on the new things that we're doing are like it's being interesting for them, how quick we respond to their and we don't block them, and how reliable, how like if they feel like the data has quality, if the data is complete, etc. And we have also an open field for feedback, which is always useful. And last but not least, we have the product team. Like in contrast with the data analyst, the product team is not as engaged, but they are. Some people are very engaged, but some people are not. So we don't have we usually don't have all of the respondents, but we also always flag that as something that's concerning because we are not being able to reach the whole product team, even though they are we are responsible for providing data to them. We see that only, I don't know, 4 people in 10 are actually responding and being engaged. So that's also a stat that shows something about your work. So the same concepts that we have here for the questions. How hard is to use something that the data team made available? So how hard is to self-serve with data? How much impact have the dashboards in your day-to-day? How quick was the data team's response? And how reliable do you feel the dashboards are? And an open field for feedback. So these 2 that I've mentioned, data usability and data accessibility, are ones that we created internally. These questions, 1 to 5, 5 being the most positive, 1 being most negative. The first question, it's a bit tricky, but in the real form, I've used it. So the 5 is more interesting, like it's the best. And then we get all of it and make an average, like all of the responses, and we make a average for each question and 1 average for the whole form. So we have a final metric that we can follow around data usability and accessibility. And we can see like the changes over time, if people are more engaged, if people are less engaged, if people saw if we did something specific to that team and had a good impact or no impact. And it's very interesting to see that over time. One time it's not, maybe it's not as exciting, but over time it's very exciting. So summarizing, metrics show progress, which can help motivated data engineers. Transparency and example may lead to other teams to adhering to use more data. Good news for you because you want people using data. Prioritization and decision making will improve because you see like what's working, what's not working, what's impacting people, what's not impacting people. And yeah. And it needs iteration, but once you get it right, your team will thrive. If you like the content, if you want to apply this in your company, please reach out. We'll be happy to talk about it in this 30-minute free consulting call. And we have all the information in the description, all of these information that is displayed in the screen. And hope to talk to you soon. And thank you for your time.